Hello, former Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode of the Weekly Crusaders. My name's Sean Wasserkrook. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And today we were talking about two movies that came out during the week of July 2nd to July 8th. We were talking about one movie that's a comedy that we both enjoy, probably more than like 90% of the people out there in the world. And then we were talking about a movie that I had always wanted to see, but it always just kept falling on the back burner until now. I finally got to watch that movie thanks to Brian. What are your thoughts on the movies before we jump in?
They could not be more identical. No.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
No, there are weeks when like we both pick like, some sex comedy or something like that. And then there's weeks like this where they could not be more different. But they're both movies that I had seen them both before, and I was very happy to revisit both of them for different reasons.
We're going to start with The Heavy, which is Brian's movie. And that is 2012's crime thriller drama, I guess is you can kind of probably maybe grab from multiple different areas. But we're talking about 2012's Savages. Savages came out July 6, 2012, had a budget of $45 million, had a weekend opening of $16.02 million. It opened up number 4 on the weekend. It was its highest ranking and had a finished box office of $82.97 million. 47.38 million domestic and 35.58 million international. Like I said, this was a movie that I remember seeing the trailer for and thinking this movie looks really, really good. I like the cast that they had in the movie. And then it was just one of those films like it just came out, and I think I know exactly what happened. Is that looking at the top 5 box office for that weekend, it came out the same day as The Amazing Spider-Man, the first film. So I went and saw that and didn't see Savages. And I was like, oh, well, I'll check it out at some point. And then I just never got around to it. And then I was like, I'll wait for it to come out on DVD and Blu-ray. And then it did. And then I didn't buy it because I didn't know if it was good or not, because I hate buying DVDs or Blu-rays without seeing them, because I was like, I just wasted money buying this shit. And then I was like, oh, I'll wait and see until I catch it on TV. And then every time I was on TV, it was already like an hour into it. And I was like, well, I'm not going to do that. And so I just eventually just like, all right, I'm just not going to see this movie apparently at some point, until Brian decided to pick it. I was like, all right, now I have an actual reason. But Brian, this is your movie, so why don't you go ahead and start it off?
Yeah, so Savages is directed by Oliver Stone. It is basically the story of these two guys. One who is he just came back from fighting the war in the Middle East, and the other one being he's a biochemist. He's more of like a hippie kind of peace, love, dope kind of guy.
Yeah.
But these guys are like best friends. They get together and they've started essentially this cannabis business. They apparently make like the best weed in the world because it's with his biochemical expertise. They've created this great stuff.
And apparently like the best weed in the world comes from Afghanistan. And when he was over there, he basically stole a whole bunch of seeds, and then with the other one's biochemical thing, they did
Yes, two of them started this whole big massive empire, this whole organization, and it's the two of them, and then there's Blake Lively, who plays basically the woman they both love. They're in like this triangle relationship. Everybody loves each other, and they're all just happy with their lives, but then basically the Mexican cartels come in and say, no, we want your business, and they're cool with it, like, whatever, dudes, if you want it, we're looking for a way to get out, fine, whatever. But they don't want that. They want them to stay on and help them, and violence and double crossing ensue, and there's a whole big thriller as they try to basically get out of hot water and survive, essentially. The biggest appeal of this movie for me, and I think for most people, was the cast. You got Aaron Taylor Johnson, who at this point I already loved from things like Kick-Ass. But this is like before we got to really see what he could do is in terms of a darker side. Like obviously he's upcoming things like Craven and things like that. Bullet Train he was great in, but this is kind of the first time I got to see him kind of a little bit darker side of him in some of those action scenes, even though he was the more gentle of the two.
He's still kind of I hate to say this because it's Kick-Ass, but he was in the Kick-Ass too. He's still kind of like the whiny bitch.
A little bit, yeah. Especially like once the killing starts, and he's like, because he's not used to seeing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because even in Kick-Ass, like he's still a whiny bitch in Kick-Ass, but he's forced into it. Much like this, he's like the, hey, nothing personal, man, just mellow, let's just have fun. Like, you want it, take it. And then like freaking wow, like Taylor Kitsch, right? Yeah, Taylor Kitsch is like fucking like, fuck you, I'll kill everyone kind of thing. And Yeah, like Aaron Taylor Johnson, until he finally like, and he's fit in this movie because he was fit in Kick Ass, but
Mhm.
until he became like Aaron fucking Taylor.
Yeah. But this kind of first time I see, it was more of an adult role. It wasn't playing like high school or,
Yeah,
still from
yeah.
Kick-Ass, things like that. The other one, like we had said, was Taylor Kitsch, who is an actor who we both like. He's been in a lot of movies we've liked. I mean, we talked about John Carter before. American Assassin is one I really like that he's in. This one,
Obviously,
Lone
Friday Night
Survivor.
Lights.
Yeah. And even people will say I'm wrong. I know you hate the movie, X-Men Origins Wolverine. He played Gambit. Now, he would not have been my choice for Gambit, but I didn't think he was bad. He was not the problem with that movie.
The problem with him in that movie, and I don't blame him, I blame the script for trying to force him to do it, is that they forced him to try to do a Cajun accent in that movie. He can't do it. And so after like 2 or 3 scenes, he just reverted back to his Friday Night Lights Southern Texas accent, and we weren't supposed to notice. That was the problem with that. I like Taylor Kitsch. I was like, yeah, him as Gambit, I could see that. But it was that they tried to force him to talk this way, and they're like, you know what, Taylor, just fucking do your own thing. And then he just did. One of the many, many, many problems of Origins of Wolverine, but it wasn't
Should have
his.
been Josh Holloway anyway. Just saying.
I 1,000% agree with that statement.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we like him, and then of course Blake Lively plays the love interest in the triangle, and gorgeous as ever. Gorgeous as ever.
I mean, when is she not gorgeous?
Yeah. So Oliver Stone movies, I'm not a fan of Oliver Stone for the most part. There are a few movies that I think are pretty decent.
Like
You
Any
got
Given
your Any Given Sunday, you got your JFK, you got some of those, and then he has a whole lot that I don't care about at all or I actively dislike. So Oliver Stone is not an appeal for me, honestly. This one did not feel like an Oliver Stone movie to me for the most part. I mean, it's definitely a heavier movie, which he tends to do.
Yeah.
But there were times when actually, even when I went back to watch it, I was like, oh yeah, I almost forgot this is an Oliver Stone movie. I'm like, okay, whatever. But he's not the appeal for me. I think the cast of it, top to bottom, was great. Because I mean, even just besides the 3 leads, you have John Travolta, who he's fine. You had Salma Hayek, you have Benicio del Toro, Emile Hirsch, Damian Bashir, Shea Wiggum. There's a whole bunch of people in this movie. I think everybody top to bottom does a great job. I think the movie looks beautiful. It's got kind of weird, like Southern California kind of vibe to it. But then when they go, the scenes in Mexico, it has a whole different vibe to it. And I just think it's filmed very well. Maybe that's something Oliver Stone can do.
That is the Oliver Stone effect. Because if you remember Any Given Sunday, it was very much like it constantly kept trying to keep you on the like it didn't want you to get comfortable.
Right.
They kept just like throwing stuff at you. Like, what was that? Because it wanted to keep you alert and awake. And Savages doesn't like do that as bold or as like distractingly even, but it wants to make sure that you are paying attention to where they're at, the location, the grungy dirtiness, but then also the beautiful, colorful side of it as well.
Yeah. And the relationship between the 3 leads is really kind of the center of this movie, and I thought they did it great. I loved the kind of I don't know, the juxtaposition, I guess you want to call it, of kind of the calm and the love and the peace kind of approach of Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, as opposed to Taylor Kitsch, who has all this anger in him. They even like convey it through her talking about having sex with the two of us. Like, he fucks, he makes love. It's like he's trying to fuck
the
earth,
he's the spirit.
And it's that whole kind of thing. And I love that relationship they have, and the kind of dichotomy and how it kind of the contrast between the two of them.
Yeah.
Salma Hayek and Benicio del Toro, especially Salma, who's, I don't know if she's ever been a villain before. I mean, she's been the antagonist.
I mean, she was
like a boss, things like that.
Technically, if you count like Dusk Till Dawn.
I guess technically, but I mean, she has a small part in that, but she plays Sinister really well. I thought she did a good job, and Benicio too, because he plays Sinister, but he also plays just like creepy. And
he definitely gives off that creep vibe.
Yeah, he was creepy, and some of the things you find out he did in this movie, like yikes.
Yeah, you do get a reveal like in the third act, like, oh, okay.
So you knew he was gonna have to die ugly.
Yes.
But so I love that. There's only 2 things about this movie I didn't really like. One, I didn't like the Blake Lively narration. Because from the very beginning, she starts talking, and first of all, in the beginning, she starts talking. It sounds like she's trying to be like Alabama Worthington from True Romance doing the narration. It's almost like Oliver Stone is trying to make
it very much. Now that you bring that up, it is very much.
Yeah,
like
but I'm like, this isn't your movie. This is not about you. This is more about
she
the guy.
is.
It kind of is, but it's more about the 2 guys.
it's because of what happens with her and to her that starts the trajectory of this film. Like, she's not the main focal point at the start of the movie, but because of what happens, she is now the main driving force of the movie. She is in a way the MacGuffin in a way. So she is in a way the central figure of this film to a point. The whole movie revolves around her character in a way. So she is to a sense. But
I
depending
did not
on
like her having the narration. And
yeah,
I'll talk about the other thing I had a problem with, which I'm sure you know what it is later, but you go
it's
ahead and give
probably
me
the
yours
same
first.
thing I had a problem with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I am, and like you, I was excited about this for the cast because we like you said, I love Aaron Taylor Johnson. I have constantly carried a torch for Taylor Kitsch, defending him. You know, he's not a bad actor. He just got put in shitty
He needs a
movies.
new agent.
He does. He needs a new agent, and it's like, oh great, he got True Detective, and then he was on the worst fucking season of True Detective, and it's just like, god damn it, this dude cannot catch a break. It's just like he's trying so fucking hard, and he just keeps getting failed thing after failed thing. I feel so bad for the guy. Blake Lively, like I said, we just talked about her 2 weeks ago for The
Something like
Shallows.
that, yeah.
And I told her, I said this, I was like, outside of The Shallows, I haven't seen her in anything that I liked. Now I have a second thing because I actually did really like her in this movie. The narration thing, I agree. I wasn't a fan of it because it does this whole thing like, just because I'm telling you this right now does not mean that I made it out alive. I'm like, bitch, you're alive. It's like, don't, like, you're just literally doing this so that way you can have
Set up the thing later, which
the other thing later that we didn't like. And at that point, it's like you're trying to fuck with the viewer's head, and it's an unnecessary fuck. And it annoys me. But I think she's great in the film and in many different aspects that we both know by watching the movie. I liked the dynamic between Ben and Sean, even though it's spelled Chon, which that aggravated the fuck out of me because like, it's Sean, dude. You're Sean. Stop trying. It's like those guys going, my name's Sean was an Shaun, not the W or Sean. It's like, dude, you're fucking Sean. I think the cartel side of it feels like a totally different movie. So I do feel like you got like two movies basically being forced into one, and Blake Lively is that middle piece that connects the two worlds. Then you have a third subplot with John Travolta as like he's DEA, right?
yes.
Yeah, he's DEA. And John Travolta, this is like 2012, so this is like when Travolta's just like, I don't fucking care anymore. I'm just fucking cutting paychecks, and I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want, whether it's good
Yeah,
acting,
this is like
bad acting.
he wasn't like headlining movies anymore, but he hadn't gone into the VOD purgatory
Yeah,
yet.
this was like him verging
Yeah.
to that. So it's like he's gonna give a performance, whether it's good or bad. This is what he fucking is now. So deal with it. And he's not bad in the movie, but like there's certain scenes in the film where I was like, Travolta, you need to act like you give a shit just a little bit, because like you're overacting to the point you're trying to do Nick Cage, and we know you got some Nick Cageisms off of him from Face Off, but you need to kind of fucking like chill your shit out. But like the way this film is gone and the way the film goes through this journey, it's smart, it's clever in ways, it's brutal, it's very fucking brutal in a lot of scenes, and that's Oliver Stone doing his Oliver Stone thing. And I was telling Brian this, I was like, I forgot how heavy and dense Oliver Stone movies are, because like this is a 2 hour and 5 minute movie. I think 2 hour and 5 minutes. And like I remember, and it wasn't because I did a time check because I was wondering how much time was left. I think I had to pause it because like I was responding to something, and I was at the halfway point. I was like, "Fuck, I'm only an hour and 5 minutes in." Like I feel like I've been watching this for 3 hours, and I don't mean that like in a bad way. I just mean like because you're so just like tense with like what's happening in the film. That was just like, God, I still have another hour of this. Like I'm like kind of exhausted watching this because like it's very very heavy. Like because like the movie starts and it's like, oh yeah, you got these two guys who are really good at selling weed, and they got this hot girl that they both share, and you got a couple sex scenes with them, and it's like, yeah, it's a cool life. And then also just everything fucking hits the fan, and then it's just as like, oh, we are no longer in the happy, Three's Company paradise anymore. We are now in like a Sicario drug kind of film. Like, okay, we are in a totally different realm of movie, but it works. It's not a movie that I would probably go, hey, let's watch Savages over and over and over again. I'm glad I finally got to watch it, but it's one of those movies where it's like, I'm glad I saw it. I think Salma Hayek is actually really good as this like cartel. Would it be Queenpin? Because she's not
Queenpin, yeah.
Yeah, Queenpin. She's the cartel Queenpin in this. I think she does a really good job. Benicio del Toro is so good at, like you said, playing creepy but also dangerous. He's very much but more flamboyant of like Javier Bardem and like No Country for Old Men. Like, he's a fucking killer. Don't get on his bad side. You will die. But he has, it's Benicio, so he has to have his flair to it as well. And you're just captivated by his performances and everything he's in. Like, you can't, there might be performances that you don't enjoy, but there's never a bad performance by Benicio. You're just there for the ride. Whether you enjoy the ride or whether you do or not, that's entirely up to you. But Benicio is going to go out there and he's going to do his fucking thing. I like how Taylor Kitsch's character is this like unhinged, like fucking tiger. A lot like another movie that we love and an actor we love, Dan Stevens in The Guest. Like, he's calm, and then bam, and he's like, oh shit, oh, so someone needs to calm him down because he's going to fucking burn this whole place to the ground, kind of thing. And then like,
I love that he had a whole network of like his old army buddies that would like help him out and stuff.
Oh yeah, they were like, whatever you need, man. Like, yeah, like no fucking questions asked. We're there for you. Because that was a nice outlet. I was like, well, how the fuck are they going to do this? Like, oh, here's how they're going to be able to do certain things because they have these guys. And there's one scene in the second act where they like, we're doing this thing. And then they do it like, wow, this was really well orchestrated. I was like, well, yeah, they're fucking like army special forces.
Yeah.
Of course. Well, it's like in movies like this, it's like, yeah, we got army buddies. But it's like, those army buddies are like fodder. I was like, oh, wow, you guys weren't really like, how did you guys survive the war? Because you're not really that good. These guys are like, no, these guys don't.
No, they're pros. And obviously he's probably paying them well. And that's what, and actually the other thing I liked in this movie actually was Emil Hirsch, who he's kind of fallen out and he doesn't star in a lot of movies these days. He pops up well, even this is 10 years old.
Yeah.
But he pops up in roles like this where it's just like, I just like seeing him and stuff. Even just a small role here.
I mean, he's always going to be the guy from The Girl Next Door who I loved. But when you see him, you're like,
as long as he's not Speed Racer.
Yeah, as long as he's not Speed Racer. But it's like, yo, right, cool, he's in this movie. It's like, he doesn't have a lot of scenes, but his scenes are fine in the movie. But it's one of those things where it's like, unless they're talking to John Travolta, these are two drug dealers that seem to just have like the respect of everybody, and not like a mean, like, we respect you because you're going to kill us. Like the cartel is. It's like, no, you guys are real up, level dudes. Like, you're chill.
Hey, we're doing our thing. We're not going to interfere with your business. We're just our little operation.
Even like the people that work for him, like that, like the guy were like, hey, we need all this. And he's like, yeah, man, we only have this much left. He's like, who do I work for now? I was like, hey, man, just stay safe. And it's like, in the drug business, you'd be like, man, am I going to get caught for this shit? It's like, no, like everyone's like, wow, they all really like as a business, like these people are like really behind them. Like, they're not like, oh, like I feel like these guys are gonna stab them in the back for a better deal or some shit. It's like, no, like everyone's just real relaxed and like, yeah, man, we got you, no problem, no chill, like everything's cool. It's like, I'm not used to seeing drug dealers like that, or like drug people working together like that. So that was like different things. Like I was like, wow, it's like, as much as they are like kind of level headed, like they also seem to really be running shit really smoothly to the point that everyone just seems like, hey, yeah, man, we got you, don't worry about it. And it's not like how we see emotions like, yeah, man, we got you. And then it's like, I don't trust you. I feel like you're going to narc on me kind of thing. It's like, no, like these people all just seem to really be backing each other. Like, which makes me kind of want to see more of like their backstory, because like from where Sean is in the movie to have like, granted, he's got his army buddies, but it's like Aaron Taylor Johnson's character, Ben, is like, you are this other side of the business. Like, how did you guys gel and work so? Because I think they said like they're 6 years in on this business. It's like, I really kind of wanted to see how they started this thing up, because this is a really interesting story that we're not going to get. Because,
I don't think you're going to see a Savages prequel.
No, we're not. No, but it's like, as I was watching, I was like, I really am intrigued how they started this up. Like Blake Lively tries to like tie it all together and stuff in the beginning, but it's like, I really want to see more of these guys when they aren't like their backs against the wall. I would have loved to have
Mhm.
just seen more of those two interacting because
I agree.
once they do show up, they are kind of at odds. Because like Sean wants to keep the business going, Ben doesn't want to do it anymore, and so they're constantly at odds. It isn't until obviously they're on a one track mind of save O that it's like okay, but then it's more Ben having to join Sean's world and having to change and be more like Sean in order to save O. Then the other way around, I kind of would have loved to have seen how the world was when Ben was really kind of in charge of everything. Because we don't get this, we hear about it. We didn't get to really see
Mhm.
it to a point, and I would have loved to have seen that. But that movie probably wouldn't have been nearly as fun or as exciting, and I get that. But I just really loved how these characters, this world built around them were. But no, I enjoyed it for what it was. It is like I say, it's a heavy movie. It's not a movie that I would probably watch maybe more than once or twice again in my life, but I like the style of it.
Yeah, and I need to talk about the other thing that bothers me, which is the ending, which
Yes.
if you haven't seen it and don't wanna be spoiled, mute it or fast forward to when you see Sean put the other poster
It's
up
a
and see the
Twilight
savages.
ending. It's a Twilight ending.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a Breaking Dawn Part 2 kind of ending.
so if you don't wanna see it, just skip ahead till you see the Mike and Dave poster up instead of savages.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I won't say I'm gonna spoil the ending because they spoiled it themselves, and I mean spoiled, I mean ruined. Um, the whole if there's anything I hate in movies, it's fake out endings.
Yeah.
And it's like they have this whole big, there's gonna be a prisoner exchange of Salma's daughter for Blake Lively's character. Everything goes wrong. It's a big shootout. People are dying. Next thing you know, everybody is dead because Sean gets hit, and then he basically gives him an overdose of, I assume, morphine or whatever, kind of let him die, not in pain.
Yeah, because I was like, a part of me was like, is he hitting him with adrenaline? Like,
Yeah,
is he
and then
trying
and
to
then he
keep
hit
him
and then he hits
going?
Blake with it, and then he hits himself with it, and they all just 3 die there. And of course, then it comes back with the narration like, "See, I told you just because I'm narrating, it doesn't mean I'm gonna live." And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't remember what she says, also just
She says
rewind.
something like, "This is the perfect way. This is how I wish it would have ended." But instead, it was a like
It's an
ridiculously
even bigger
big fuck
clusterfuck or
up.
something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
clusterfuck. And it's like, it really
And so
wasn't.
it does a little rewind thing, and then
Yeah,
you find out none of that shootout ever happened. And basically, John Travolta shows up with the DEA helicopters and arrests Salma Hayek, and he lets them go because well, we
they
kind
have
of
dirt on
he's
him,
on the
and
take from them. They're
yeah,
paying him off, and so he tells them he tells the DEA they're his informants. They get off basically.
yeah.
So and then everybody gets to live happily ever after on an island in Indonesia. Um, I have no problem with that ending. I understand like test audiences are probably like, "What? You can't just end like that. You got to have a big shootout. You got to see everybody die, blah blah blah." So they decided to try to have their cake and eat it too, and they go, "We'll have the whole shootout," but then we'll say, "Well, that didn't really happen," and here's the other
Because they
ending. It's
very
like
much have like a almost
this
like
isn't fucking Clue, people. You can't say, "Well, here's the other way it could have ended." Yeah,
yeah,
or yeah, Wayne's World. It's
yeah,
just it. Up until that point, I had really liked everything in the movie, except, like I said, the narration bothered me a little bit, but not enough to, like, make me dislike it. But
yeah.
then the ending, I'm just like, I was rolling my eyes as
Because
soon
like
as they did that.
even the
And I forgot
shootout.
about it until I went back and rewatched it. I'm like, "Oh, I forgot about this
Because
shit."
like even the shootout, I was like, outside. There was only one part of the shootout that I didn't like, but like outside of the shootout, I liked all that. I was like, okay, yeah, all right, here we go. Like, Benicio turns on Salma, and Sean gets hit like a couple times, but Sean's not gonna die. Like none of his shots were kill shots. It was more or less how Ben got shot. Because
Yeah,
like
in the neck.
you shot uh what was Benicio's name? Lato? Lato?
This is a
Lato?
lot yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah, Lano or something like that. He
Lato.
shoots him like 2 or 3 times, and then he just stands there, lets him turn around, and then shoot him. I was like, first off, duck, motherfucker. If he's turning around, why aren't you shooting him again? Like, why would you just let them shoot you in the throat? And I was just like, I sat there going, if he seriously dies this way, like that's gonna piss me off because like that's such like a boneheaded, stupid. It wasn't even like Benicio was even like super quick. He just turned around like normal and just shot. I was like, no, no, that's a dumb way to die. And then like I was thinking like he was sticking him with the morphine. I thought it was adrenaline. I was like, well, that's not really gonna help Ben. Ben's
Yeah,
bleeding
no.
the fuck
He's
out.
dead.
But then it's like he hit Blake with it. I was like, why does Blake need adrenaline? And then he hits him twice. I was like, so you're having a Romeo and Juliet ending where you're basically overdosing
Yeah.
yourselves.
I think basically at that point, everybody was gonna die. If they didn't do it themselves, they were gonna get shot because it was still going on all around them.
Well,
So
no, because they even said you even heard his buddy say, "Hey, they retreated. We'll be there in 10." And
But
it's
then
like,
it's like if
but it's
I
like,
think
well,
it's just
like
they're all
Sean
so in
was,
love, like I said, Romeo and Juliet. It's like if I can't be with everybody, let's just all die together.
it's just like, well, like Sean and O would have survived that. O was fine. O wasn't dying. O wasn't even hurt.
And I'm sure
But
Ben
like,
would have been like, "No, you two go have
yeah,
fun."
it's like Sean got shot like in the leg, and he got shot like in the hand, and maybe the shoulder. Like Sean would have survived, and O would have survived. But it's one of those things where it's like, I guess they felt like Sean and O, they love each other, but he can't give her what Ben could give her, so she wouldn't be fully satisfied, and he can't give her that. So if we all can't survive, then we
Nobody
all
would be
die.
happy unless let's all
Which
die together.
that is fucking stupid.
But
But
honestly though, I would have been okay with either ending. With the they all die ending, it would not have been my preferred ending. But I'm like, okay, fine. You want to go with the Romeo and Juliet ending, or the ending where the DEA comes and everybody gets off and happy ending.
you can't do both.
You can't do both, and it's like if you shot one and then the test audience said no, we want to shoot out, and you want the other one, that's fine, whatever. But you can't keep both. It just no.
Because here's the thing that I guarantee you. If it was the other way around, and Sean was the one dying, Ben would not have killed him and O. Ben and O would have been like happily ever after. Like, we miss Sean, we love Sean. We'll name our first fucking child Sean. But Ben is gonna be like, we'll just go live, have fun, have life, and O would have been right there with him but Sean's like, nah, if he's dying, then we're fucking dying too. It's just I guarantee you, there's no chance in hell that Ben would have killed him and O if Sean was dying. They would have been sad. They would have mourned his ass, but they would have lived on and been okay.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I mean, aside
I
though,
watched that. I remember watching it, because granted, like I literally just watched it before we shot this, and I'm watching. I was like, oh damn, okay, I guess they are killing him, and then they go, but that's not what happened. I'm like, what? I was like,
my face. I was like, are you serious?
it's like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, I mean, okay, but then it's like, what was the fucking point? What was the point of this? And it's just like, okay. I was like, this is not going to derail the movie, but this went from like being like a 4-star down to a 3.5.
I would say I probably would have made it a half star higher if it not for that anything.
And it's like,
but otherwise,
because even when she's narrating at the end, I was like, wait, so is she with them, or did she not stay with them after that because of the trauma she went through?
No, I think she was with them.
Like, well, no. At the last line, she did say we lived happily, like in a way, but like up to that point, it was like she was like talking about like is as like a story. Yeah, we're in Africa, we're in Indonesia, we're doing this, but no one really knows what really happened. I eventually did get to live again and stuff like this. I'm like, so she's not with them? I'm kind of confused because she's going like, all over the place in terms, and then she finally was like, we're going to be back someday. We're together. We're happy. I was like, okay. I was like, because like you can't leave this like ominous. Like, I don't know if she's actually with him or not by the end of the movie. And I was like, okay, that's fine. That is what it is. So it's like, the movie stumbles in the final like 10 minutes.
Yeah, it
really, really does.
Even with that, I still very much enjoy the movie, especially those three and the characters and the relationships between them. I think it's worth checking out. It's on Netflix. Go watch it for free. Enjoy.
Yeah, it's definitely there. We're gonna move over to my movie now. Like I said, this is a comedy that Brian and I both feel is underappreciated. It is funny as hell, and that is a 2016 film, Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates came out July 7th, 2016, had a budget of $33 million, had a weekend opening of $16.63 million. It also opened up number 4, its opening weekend, its highest ranking, and had a finished box office of $77.07 million, $46.01 million domestic, and $31.06 million international. I think this wasn't the first movie. I think it was That Awkward Moment. I was like, this was one of the first comedies that we were like, Zac Efron's actually pretty fucking funny, and can be funny. And this is one of those films that like I remember seeing the trailer for, and obviously for me the big appeal was, okay, Zac Efron's doing a comedy, we'll see how that is. But of course, Anna Kendrick and Aubrey Plaza is in this. And
yeah, by that point he had done That Awkward Moment. He also had done both Neighbors by this point too.
Had he done both Neighbors?
Yeah,
I thought he only done one.
No, well, actually, this came out the same year.
Okay. Because it's like he can do comedy, but it's like he's still just doing pretty boy comedy stuff. But and Adam Devine or Vine?
Divine, I think.
It's Divine. I always get confused. I always want to say Levine. I was like, nope, that's Maroon 5. Um, I enjoy him in a lot of things, but he also toes that line of that Kevin Hart toes and a lot of comedians too, where it's like you cross the level of just annoying. And like in Jexy, he hit it perfectly. In Pitch Perfect, annoying. In Final Girls, perfect. But it's like depending on the movie, he will fall on one way. He's either great or he's annoying, and I can't stand him. Zac Efron, I enjoy 90% of the time now. Like even us, was it last year or 2 years ago with the greatest beer run ever? We're like, Zac needs a win. Zac needs a movie that people can go, Zac Efron has now entered that next echelon of acting, and he needs to get the credit that he deserves because he's actually really, really good. Audrey Plaza, we both love. And of course, Anna Kendrick, we both love. This is a movie that, like I remember watching the trailer for, I was like, this could be fun, but it's probably not going to be that good. And I went in with like middle to low expectations, and I just remember laughing my fucking ass off the first time watching this movie. And then I was like, this movie's great. And I was like, oh shit, like everyone hates this movie. It's like a rotten score. Like no one seems to really enjoy this film or anything like that. And then of course I was talking about, was this one of those movies where Brian and I are both like, you know what was funny? Mike and David was like, yes. I was like, awesome. We both enjoy this film. And there are so many funny, like memorable quotes in this movie for me. And I use them. And no one gets them, but Brian does. Granted, the one annoying thing about this movie that I just can't stand is Anna Kendrick's wig. Like, why? Why the wig in this movie? The wig makes no sense. But I love this movie. I love it. It's not like in my top tier comedies, but this is one of the movies like Buying the Cow and Tomcats and many other comedies that Brian and I are both on the same like level on, that it's like I can throw this movie on at any point and just laugh my ass off and just have a fun time. I think the supporting cast is great, even in their small little parts. I think this is one of those comedies that, yes, the four leads are great, but the supporting cast is equally as funny, and they're written incredibly well. As outlandish as some of the characters are, like Cousin Terry, the comedy of those yes, the comedy of those characters all work great. Much like Forgetting Sarah Marshall, where it's like, yes, Jason Segel and Mila Kunis, Russell Brand, Kristen Bell, they're the four leads, but the cast around them is written so well, and they are so funny that it's a great ensemble cast. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is a movie I saw opening day when it came out in theaters.
I want to say I saw it in theaters. I really do, but I can't fucking remember.
And I saw it, I probably in a almost empty theater, and I was laughing my ass off. And then I saw the box office come in, and I saw bad reviews come in. Like, what movie did these people watch?
Yeah,
like,
I don't get. What did you want?
First of all, the people who went and saw it, what were they expecting? Because you got exactly what the trailer sold.
What movie did you want to see in this? You got Zac Efron shirtless. He's cute. He's funny. You get everything you want in this. I don't understand what you guys wanted out of this film. Yeah, I really don't get it.
It was a great R-rated comedy. Obviously the four leads are perfect.
Yes.
The two of like Zac Efron, like I think he's totally underestimated as far as his comedy. I think he's great at doing comedy. Adam Devine, as you all already said, he can be too much, but when they use him correctly, when he finds that sweet spot, he's really funny as he is in here. And the two of them together, they have this great chemistry. If I have one complaint about the movie, and my only complaint, is that there's occasional scenes where you can tell they were just improvising a little too much, and things just go on and on.
You really don't like improvising, because that is something that you've brought up on many times.
I like some improvising is fine. Some great jokes come out of improvising, but there's other times you can just feel like it's like they're just kind of riffing on stuff. It's like, okay, we get it. You can move on. It happens a lot in the Judd Apatow movies are worse about that. But I think there was a couple times where I think they went on too long. But otherwise, I mean, I thought they were great together. Aubrey and Anna Both
Anna.
great. This is kind of a different side than you've ever got to see, like especially Anna play.
Yeah, oh yeah, this is definitely a different kind of Anna Kendrick.
And Aubrey Plaza looking better here than I've ever seen her look before. By
Oh,
the
she
way,
looks great in this film.
she looked great. But she was great too. And then when the two of them get, like, especially when like Aubrey and Adam are together, there's some great scenes with those two. And then, like you said, with the cousin,
Cousin Terry. Thriller
um,
out. It's just like it's so stupid, but it worked.
but yeah, it's one of those I don't understand why people don't like it, because
Yeah.
I laughed my ass off. And honestly, when I went and rewatched it, I'm like, I remember the basics of it, but I didn't remember a lot of the individual jokes. I mean, the scenes, yes, but as far as like the dialogue and stuff like that, it's like it was like watching it for the first time again, and I was just laughing my ass off out loud in the middle of the night. Had to worry about waking people up in the next room because they're all sleeping.
I
I
literally
don't laugh out loud a whole lot when I'm at home watching a movie alone. So.
I literally quoted this movie today. I didn't. I used like half the quote because I couldn't use the full quote, and I was at work, and the topic did get raunchy side of things, and we were talking about something. I'm not gonna say what it is because I'm not gonna put the people I was talking to on blast. But they were like, "What is that?" I'll send you some links. And no one got it. I was like, "What?" I go, "It's from a movie." And I was just like, "You guys can't handle a push pop." and the whole great part about that scene.
What's a push pop? That's one of the scenes.
That's the great part about the
That's
scene.
one of the scenes he went on too long with.
No, I didn't. I loved it because I loved Zac Efron. Got to the point where I was like, "What's a push pop, Dave? What's a push pop?" Like it's more like they needed that to go longer to let Zach get into the groove of it. And I just love how he just kept getting more and more and more upset, even after like Dave was like, or Mike was like, "It's fake. It's not real." And he was like, he wasn't listening to that. He was like, "What's a push pop, Dave?" And then he just goes into it. It's like, "I'll send you some links." I love that scene so much. I also love it's such a small thing. It's such a very, very small thing, but it's a characteristic of Dave. Wait, Dave is Efron, right?
I will double
Yeah,
check.
Dave's Efron.
David Efron, yeah.
Yeah, Dave's Efron, Mike's Adam. Like the drink drawings, like the tequila and little worm.
Oh, his graphic novel character. Yeah,
I loved those. I was like, this is actually really great. I actually kind of like almost like summer school, or not summer school. One Crazy Summer, where he was like doing that. I was like, I actually kind of wanted to see more of this. Like instead of like, granted, I love bloopers at the end of comedies, especially if they're funny. I actually would have loved like a post credit or mid credit scene where it's like he actually ended up making this like a show and stuff. It just had to be like the intro to a show or something. Like I actually was really intrigued by those colorings. Or he made a
sausage party, and this time it's all the alcohol items.
Yes, I actually would have been totally down with that. But yeah, Anna Kendrick is great. And what's funny is like, it's not even funny, but it's even one of those things that's like kind of a real moment is like her trauma in this film. Granted, I haven't been left at the altar, but like her constantly reliving it. And like she could be in the moment and have a fun moment, and she could be happy. And then as soon as she's left alone, she just immediately goes right back. I was like, why? And it's like, you know what? I've fucking been there. I know people who have been there. Where it's like they could be having a great time, happy moment, but as soon as the moment gets quiet, that darkness just comes right back in there. Now, granted, like it's hard to do that in a comedy, but it's like when they do, it's like, you know what? That character is a lot realer than you realize. I even love that one moment with her and Zach when they're like in it's not the forest, but like because they're on a fucking beach. But it's like, you know, where Zach's like, do you ever just feel like you're always gonna like fuck up and you're never gonna amount to anything? And she's like, yeah, like all the fucking time. And it's like, yeah, that's a very, very true like statement. And like it's like in a movie that's raunchy comedy, it's kind of all over the place. Like that's a very real moment. And I actually love their performance in that. And then, but then you, like I said, you got the crazy comedy. I also want to shout out a highlight character for me. I didn't know this person. I think I know you're gonna go exactly where I'm gonna go with it as well.
I'm gonna see if I'm right.
I didn't know this actress at all. She was a highlight of this movie, and that is Sugar Lynn Beard as Jeannie, the sister. Jeannie Weenie Beanie. Do the Genie. Like she's great in this movie. I fucking loved her in this, especially in the one scene. There's a couple scenes, but like
Camille?
With Camille. The massage scene, and when
her face looks much just made that
when Mike comes in and she starts doing like the Elvis look.
And she was apparently. I mean, obviously, Camille's like basically making through that whole scene.
Camille's great. And there's that one where she's like, "Are you even touching me?" He's like, "No, I'm not even touching."
With that, and she was clearly game because there's a scene later where she's like basically full
Yes.
frontal nudity, except for like a merkin, obviously. But it was
Yes.
just like, damn,
It's
this girl's
so.
all
She's
in.
like, "You're doing this for the first time. What? That's so gangster. This is gangster with lots of motherfucking fries." And then of course, obviously, Sam Richardson. I think this was maybe one of the first things I ever saw him in. And granted, he has to kind of play it like the straight
He's the straight
man.
man for most of it, yeah.
But when he gets to actually like branch out and do stuff, he's great in this way. Obviously, in terms of Hall of Fame comedy, you got Stephen Root. Still one of the best like parts of the movie where he's trying to fucking shut the door. And then like Mike's like, "Is he gonna spank us?" And you just look at Dave and I'm like. And I also love the part like where he's like, "It's not our fault. We wanted to swim with dolphins and eat a banana," and he's wearing a banana shirt. Like it's the little jokes like that worked for me. This movie's fucking hilarious. The only thing I wish, and granted, I'm happy he was casted in it, but you can't cast Jake Johnson and just have him be in one scene.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he was big in terms of New Girl. So for TV audiences, he was huge. But like this, he was still like not a big movie guy. But like I get so happy when I see him, and it's like this is the only scene he's in, and it's like he's completely wasted in the movie. Like they could have done more with him. I actually wish he would have been part of like the wedding party. So like he just would have been there more, kind of deal. But yeah, this movie's so fun. It's got like I said, so many fun lines and funny moments. Anna Kendrick, as wild as we've ever seen her, and Audrey is basically playing Audrey Plaza. Like she's basically playing what she plays, but she's hitting everything. Adam is like I said, he's on that tightrope, but he's hitting at the sweet spot. Zach's great. The whole cast around them is great. Sugarland Beard. I don't recall seeing her in anything else. Have you seen her in anything else?
I looked her up when I watched the movie. So I'm like, where has she done anything else? And she's had small parts in everything from 50-50 to Game Over Man, Disaster Artist, Sausage Party, but she hasn't like starred in anything.
I need to see this girl in more shit because she is just awesome in this movie. And I also love the beginning. I love the beginning of this movie where it makes him look like they're just the two coolest motherfuckers at all these parties, and then they play like the real video. And I love that. I love how it's like in their perception, they're like
You see all these cool moments, and then they say, "Well, here's the full video."
yeah, like here's what actually happened. Like you guys think it's kind of like that drunken haze when someone gets drunk and they think they're like king shit when they're drunk, and then it's like, no, this is what you look like. You stumble over and you're drooling and you're basically falling on people. It's like I don't remember that. I remember being fucking awesome. It's like no, you were the opposite of awesome. I like I said, this movie's so much fun. I don't understand the criticism for it. I like you said, I don't know what people were expecting out of this movie. This movie was exactly what I wanted.
You need to ignore the reviews. See this movie. I mean, if you've seen like a trailer for it, you know what the style of comedy. So if that's your style of comedy, watch this movie. You will laugh your ass off from the opening montage to the song, this rap song that Zach and Adam do over the closing credits. Hilarious. It's a beginning to end.
It's so good. It's so good. Anything else you want to add?
That's it.
No. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. And of course, get to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Out right now, we have a review for Joyride, or it's my review for Joyride. Brian also saw the movie and thought it was, didn't you say probably as of right now the funniest movie of the year?
As far as straight comedy, yeah, that's the best one out.
Yeah. And I will also agree with that. It is the funniest comedy of the year, hands down, right now. Coming up next, we will be having our 2023 half year in review, where Brian will be going over our best films of the year so far, worst films, best surprises, or not best, but disappointing films of the year so far.
Watch Sean's head explode at my picks.
Yes, my God, I was not prepared for Brian's top 10. And you guys will not be prepared for that shit either. It's a long video. Watch it in parts. If you watch that all the way through, you guys are a way bigger fan of us than we ever thought people could be. I don't know if I could watch us for that long without just. I mean, I'm going to have to because I have to edit that thing, and it's gonna take a while. So I don't know when that movie's that it's gonna come out sometime this week, but it's definitely not gonna come out the same day as like this and like Joyride will, because it just takes way too damn long to edit that show. We'll be back next week for the latest episode of the Weekly Crusaders. It's gonna be a fun action week. Brian's pick is a movie that, once again, much like Mike and Dave, this is a fun action film with actors that are not. They're like they had just started breaking out, but they weren't there yet. And then you got the big star who's kind of playing a more grounded role that we've never seen before
in a story and subgenre that basically never seen before and still hasn't really been used much since.
Exactly. And this movie got shit on, and it's like, no, this was actually a really good movie. So another redemption film next week for Brian, and mine is a movie that I think the concept is cool as shit. The execution was good, not great, but it did spawn a sequel. We are not talking about the sequel. But it was a fun film with, I think, also a very solid cast and great action and special effects. So figure out those movies are. And we'll be back next week for that, as well as a review for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I don't know if it's just going to be me doing it or if Brian's going to be joining me for a non-spoiler review. I guess we'll decide what Brian thinks about that. But this one is one of my more anticipated films of the year because I love the Mission Impossible franchise, and I am just excited as hell to see this film. So we'll be having a review for that as well. So be on the lookout for all these videos. It's going to be a long week of editing for me because these videos take forever to edit. But they will be up and running for you guys to watch and enjoy and like and comment. Let us know what you thought of. Are you guys Mike and Dave Need Wedding Date fans? We need to know. We need more of you people on our side that to praise Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates. Also, who's our side?
After you watch that, watch Jexy. Just say.
Yeah, Jexy is another one that's underappreciated. I think people just don't like Adam Devine. Maybe.
Which I get, because if I went purely by things like Perfect, I'd be like, yeah, he's obnoxious.
Yeah, it's like Tightrope. But those are two movies that he hits out of the park. I've never watched Workaholics, actually, so I can't.
Oh, you should. You would love Workaholics.
All right, I might have to.
I only watched it like last year. I binged the entire series. I'm like, this is great.
I might have to
Game Over Man.
Yeah. And I never saw Game Over Man because I hadn't watched Workaholics. So I was like, well, I'm not going to get because it's those three guys. I don't know if I'm going to like it as much. But if I can watch Workaholics, I might actually do that then. But anyway, we are the Movie Crusaders. My name's Sean Waskrug. That's Brian Michaels. And until next time, in case we don't see you, go watch some movies. Go have some fun.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.